Hi, this is Dan. This is my video editing statement for my first project for my multimedia journalism class with Professor Brian Johnson. And this will be my editing statement for the first project, which is the camera experiment. So I'm just going to take you through why I chose each photo that I chose for my project. And that also includes the two videos at the end. So I'll start with the color picture. So this is like the with multiple colors. So I chose this one because it was a picture of a manhole cover with some of the cement around it, and it had a little bit of paint, which was probably done some construction crew. And I chose that one because I think it showed a strong contrast between the three different colors that were present in the photo. And I think that this definitely shows the element of color pretty effectively. So the next one I chose was the monochromatic one. This is a photo of just orange lights on top of a construction post. And I chose that because I think the intensity of the orange was pretty evident in the picture. And then when you see it, you can definitely tell that it's an intense shade of orange. And I think that was a good example of monochromatic. So now I'll talk about the angles. And the low angle shot, this shows basically, it's as if you were looking up a building on campus, and it's actually a picture of a building looking straight up on campus. So I show this because I think it vividly shows the height of the building, and it kind of gives you a semblance as if you were at the bottom looking up. So I think that's a good example of a low angle shot. So then the high angle shot, it's actually a photo taken about 10 feet up in the air, about 20 feet away, and I think it's good. It's kind of it shows like as if you were swooping down looking at the back of the bike. And then it also kind of shows how, as if you were standing above it looking down. So I think that's a good example of high angle. So the next one we're going to talk about the light. So the first one was the direct light photo. And this is a picture of an emblem underneath an emblem on campus. It's underneath one of the bell towers on the South Quad, and it's the emblem of the university. So I chose this because you can tell looking at it that there is both light and shadow is shown in it. So half of the object is in shadow, while the other half is in light. And I think that was a pretty good example of direct light, since the light source was from behind the camera, and part of it was illuminated while the other part was not. So then indirect light, this is a photo of me actually, just as my shadow, because the light source is coming from behind me. So I thought it was a good example of indirect light, since the only light was from, it wasn't actually on me as the subject. It was, well, yes, it was on me, but you can only see my shadow, so I think that was a good example of indirect light. So now I'm going to talk about the close-ups. So for my close-up, it was of a stop sign. I liked it because it's almost gave you examples if you were looking only a couple feet away from it, or maybe not a couple inches, but a couple feet. So I think it's a good example of what it would look like if you were pretty close to it in person. So then I really liked the super close-up. And this was a picture of the top of a fire hydrant, and I liked it because it really showed the detail of the top as it was rusting away. It was pretty intricate, and you could really tell kind of the rusting patterns on top of it. And I think that was, I mean, the point of close-ups is to really show the detail, and I think that really showed the detail that you would miss on any other shot if it wasn't a super close-up. So now the time of day photos, I like these because you can really tell, especially with the morning and afternoon shots, that the placement of the sun in the sky was different. Like in the afternoon shot, you could see the sun somewhat in the middle of, like, at the top of the picture, while in the night you obviously couldn't see it. But in the morning it wasn't in the shot because that was taken around. 7:45, almost 8 a.m. And also, I think it just shows kind of how the quad, the 6-pack quad, changes and how like lighting is different throughout the day. I thought that was pretty interesting. So lastly, I'm going to talk about the video. So the video without the tripod, that I chose this because I think it's well simulated what it would look like to take a video walking around without placing it on a tripod. So you can tell it's pretty shaky at times, and I think also it's pretty it shows a pretty accurate like video of how it actually look if you were just walking around, panning the camera around without any sort of tripod. I also liked it. It was pretty raw, it seemed, and it seemed very authentic. So, and it would be more authentic. It give them more of the that rawness and authenticity without the tripod that it would be with the tripod. So lastly, the video with the tripod. I like this. It was just pretty stable. You could see everything. It wasn't too hard on the eyes. So I think that was a good example of pretty much why I chose it. It was just pretty stable, and yeah, that's why I chose it. So yeah, this is my video editing statement for the first project, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.